I remember the first time something felt off. It was about 6 months ago, on a random Wednesday evening. Clara walked into the kitchen while I was finishing up some invoices for work. She looked excited, almost glowing, and announced, "Babe, there's this pottery retreat happening next weekend. It's $800, but it's supposed to be life-changing. They say it will totally unlock your creative side." $800 for a weekend of making pots. I blinked at her, trying to process it. We weren't strapped for cash, but we weren't exactly throwing money at hobbies either. Still, I smiled and said, "If it means that much to you, we can make it work. Maybe we can shift around the budget this month?" She nodded, but I noticed a flicker of something in her eyes. Surprise, maybe. I didn't think much of it at the time. I thought she was just happy I supported her. I had no idea it was something else entirely. A couple weeks later, we were out to dinner with her friends, the usual crew, Nora, Beth, and Lindsay. They were sipping wine, laughing, talking about upcoming vacations. Then, out of nowhere, Lindsay smirked and said, "Clara, I thought for sure Adrian would blow up over that pottery retreat." I paused mid-bite. Blow up? Clara went pale, like someone had pulled the air out of her. The table went quiet. No one made eye contact. "What do you mean?" I asked lightly, but inside, my stomach tightened. No one answered right away. Beth coughed into her drink, and Clara tried to laugh it off. "Oh, they're just teasing," she said quickly, but her voice was thin. I smiled politely and let it slide for the rest of the dinner. But inside, something sharp was taking root. Why would they think I'd blow up? Why was Clara so rattled by a simple comment? That night, as we drove home, I kept replaying it. Clara's pale face, Lindsay's smirk, the weird silence. It was like they all knew something I didn't. I didn't bring it up right then, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I started realizing that this pottery retreat, this random, overpriced event, might not have been about pottery at all. It felt like a setup, and the offhand joke at dinner only confirmed my growing suspicion. By the time we got home, a quiet anger had started to build. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I knew I was being tested, and I hated it. The next evening, after work, I decided I couldn't let it slide anymore. Clara was sitting on the couch, scrolling on her phone, looking completely at ease. I stood in the doorway for a moment, just watching her. Part of me hoped I was wrong, that this was just some weird misunderstanding. But deep down, I already knew. "Clara," I said, my voice calm but firm, "was the pottery retreat a test?" She looked up from her phone, startled. "A test? What are you talking about?" "You heard me," I replied, stepping into the room. Lindsay's comment at dinner, about how they thought I'd blow up. What did she mean by that? Her eyes darted to the side, then back to me. "Oh, come on, Adrian. You're taking a joke too seriously. They were just teasing." I shook my head slowly. "No, that wasn't a joke." She said it like they were waiting for me to fail. Like that retreat was something more than just pottery. Clara's smile faltered. She put down her phone and sat up straighter. "You're reading way too much into this." "Am I?" I asked. I crossed the room and sat on the edge of the coffee table in front of her. "Because it feels like you and your friends are running experiments on me. Is that what this is? Am I being tested on how I react to things?" She hesitated, and in that silence, I got my answer. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. I just stared at her, waiting. "Adrian." Her voice softened, but she couldn't hold my gaze. "It's not like that." "Then explain it to me," I said. "Because I've been your husband for 3 years. That should be enough to know what kind of man I am. I shouldn't have to pass little tests to prove I'm a good husband." She bit her lip, looking like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. "It's just, Nora said it might be good to see how you'd handle certain things. She said it's better to know now if I'm the right kind of husband." I cut in, my tone sharp but quiet. "Are you serious?" Clara flinched. "Adrian, it wasn't meant to hurt you. They were just trying to help me." "Help you?" I leaned back, laughing once, but it wasn't a happy sound. "By treating me like some lab rat? By seeing if I'll blow up when you decide to blow $800 on a weekend class?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her silence said everything. I stood up, my hands clenched at my sides. "You know what? I need to clear my head." I grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door. "Adrian, wait," she called, panic creeping into her voice. "I'm sorry. I'll talk to them. It won't happen again." I paused, my hand on the doorknob. "Clara, it's not just about the test. It's about trust. Do you even trust your own judgment anymore?" She didn't respond. I opened the door and left. At the sports bar, I sat nursing a beer, the low hum of conversation around me. I thought about our marriage, about the meaning of respect, and I realized something that chilled me. This wasn't just about the pottery retreat. It was about something much bigger. The next morning, I woke up with a clear head but a heavy heart. Clara was already in the kitchen, making coffee like nothing had happened. I sat at the table, watching the steam rise from her mug, and decided I wasn't going to tiptoe around this anymore. Clara, I began, my tone steady. I've been thinking about some things. Last month, you canceled our anniversary dinner for that urgent girls' night. That wasn't real, was it? That was another test. She froze mid-sip. The tiny flinch gave her away before she could even speak. Adrian, it wasn't. Don't, I cut in. Just tell me the truth. She put the mug down and stared at the table. Nora said it would be interesting to see how you'd react if plans suddenly changed. She said most men get controlling or angry when their wives bail on a special night. I laughed, but it was bitter. So, my reaction to our anniversary being blown off was some kind of character evaluation? Did I pass that one too? Or was I supposed to lose my mind to prove I cared enough? Clara's eyes welled up. It wasn't meant to hurt you. It was just another test, I said, finishing the sentence for her. I leaned forward, my voice low. How many of these have there been, Clara? 2, 3, more? She shook her head quickly, but the way she avoided my eyes made it obvious. It's not like that, she murmured, but it sounded hollow. Then what is it like? I pressed. Because from where I'm standing, I'm starting to feel like every argument, every decision, is being graded by your friends like there's some marriage committee. She didn't answer. She just sat there, her fingers fidgeting with her mug, her silence confirming what I already knew. Is there another one coming? I asked after a long pause. Some third test waiting to see if I measure up? No, she said quickly, but her voice was too soft, too unconvincing. It was the kind of denial that wasn't about protecting me. It was about hiding the truth. I leaned back in my chair, the anger inside me sharpening into something colder. You know what, Clara? I'm done waiting to be manipulated. If there's another test, I'm not playing. She blinked, startled by the firmness in my tone. But I was past the point of second-guessing. The pieces were falling into place, and I didn't like the picture they painted. By that afternoon, I'd made up my mind. Sitting around waiting for the next test wasn't an option anymore. If Clara's friends were pulling the strings, then it was time I cut the strings myself. I knew exactly where to start, with Nora. Nora's interior design studio was on the edge of downtown, a chic space with white brick walls and overpriced furniture arranged just so, like a showroom for people who wanted to pretend they had taste. When I walked in, she was leaning over a table with a client, her voice syrupy and smooth. She glanced up, her perfect smile faltering just a little when she saw me. Adrian, she said, straightening up. What a surprise. Client meeting? I asked, my tone calm but clipped. She looked at the client and gave a polite, we'll pick this up later. The woman grabbed her bag and left, casting me a curious glance. As the door closed, Nora folded her arms, her professional mask sliding back into place. What's this about? I didn't sit. I didn't waste time. It's about you meddling in my marriage, I said, my voice low but steady. Her eyebrows lifted slightly, but there was a spark of challenge in her eyes. Meddling? Adrian, we were just looking out for Clara. She needs to know the kind of man she married. I let out a dry laugh. The kind of man who supports his wife? Who doesn't lose his temper when she drops $800 on a pottery retreat? That's what you're testing? My patience. My values. Don't twist this, Nora said sharply. We just want Clara to be happy. Sometimes men say all the right things until they're pushed. I stepped closer, my voice dropping. And who made you the judge of our marriage? Every one of your so-called tests was an insult, Nora. A way of saying I wasn't good enough unless I jumped through your hoops. She crossed her arms tighter, but her eyes flickered, just a hint of uncertainty. I'm going to make this simple, I continued. If there's another test, if you or any of your friends try to stir up more drama, you're not going to like the results. Her lips parted, but no words came out. For the first time, I saw her confidence crack. You think this is protecting Clara? I added. All you're doing is planting poison between us. That stops now. Nora exhaled, a sharp, irritated breath, but she didn't argue. I turned for the door, my final words hanging in the air. If you want to play games, find someone else. I'm done. That evening, Clara's phone buzzed with frantic texts from Nora. I didn't ask what they said, and Clara didn't volunteer the details. I just sat on the couch, calm in a way I hadn't felt in weeks. This wasn't just about stopping the tests anymore. It was about reclaiming my own dignity. 2 days later, Clara came home from work unusually quiet. I was sitting at the kitchen table, half distracted by my laptop, when she sat across from me and clasped her hands like she was gearing up for a serious talk. Adrian, she began, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Can I ask you something? And I want you to be honest. I closed the laptop and gave her my full attention. Go on. Do you ever feel like you're too comfortable with life? Like maybe you're not pushing yourself enough in your career? I just stared at her, letting the words sink in. It wasn't the question that hit me. It was the tone. It had the same manufactured quality as the pottery retreat, the same rehearsed rhythm. And then it clicked. This wasn't her voice. This was Nora's voice. Lindsay's voice. Another test. I leaned back in my chair and let out a short, sharp laugh. Wow, that's it, isn't it? The third test. Clara's face went blank. What are you talking about? It's just a question. No, I said, my tone rising but still controlled. It's not just a question. It's a script. You're trying to see how I react if you suggest I'm not ambitious enough. Did they tell you to say that, too? Her lips parted like she wanted to protest, but she didn't. That silence was all the confirmation I needed. You have no idea how insulting this is, I said, my voice cold now. 3 years of marriage, Clara. 3 years of me standing by you, supporting you, loving you, and you still need a bunch of self-appointed marriage gurus to tell you if I'm good enough? She flinched. Adrian, I didn't mean. Save it, I cut her off. If I'm going to be treated like a lab subject, I might as well know the full results of the experiment. She shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting toward her laptop on the counter. A hunch hit me like lightning. Without another word, I stood up, walked over, and opened it. She tried to stop me, but I held up my hand. Don't even think about it, Clara. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. A group chat titled The Core 4. My stomach turned as I scrolled through messages between Clara, Nora, Lindsay, and Beth. Nora, let's see if Adrian gets defensive about his career. Most guys can't handle that. Beth, I bet he laughs it off, he's always too calm. Almost like he's hiding something. Clara, I'll bring it up tonight. I'll let you know how he reacts. Lindsay, score him from 1 to 10 on patience. He was a solid 9 on the pottery test. My hands tightened on the laptop. It wasn't just that they were talking about me, they were grading me. Like I was some test subject in a social experiment. Read it, I said, my voice low but razor-sharp as I turned the screen toward Clara. Read it out loud. Her face went pale. Adrian, read it. She swallowed hard and began to read the messages, her voice trembling with each word. By the time she finished, I felt something inside me harden. This wasn't just about her friends anymore. Clara had chosen to participate in this, and that choice cut deeper than anything Nora could ever say. Do you even realize how demeaning this is? I asked quietly. Do you even see what you've done? Clara didn't answer. For the first time, I saw the fear in her eyes, not of me, but of the damage she'd caused. And I knew I'd reached my breaking point. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, Clara's quiet breathing beside me, while the group chat messages kept flashing in my head like neon signs. Score him from 1 to 10. See if he gets defensive. They weren't just testing my patience. They were dissecting me, piece by piece, and Clara had let them. By morning, I knew what I had to do. When Clara came into the bedroom, still wearing that fragile, apologetic look, I was already pulling clothes from the dresser. What are you doing? She asked, her voice rising. Packing, I said simply, folding a shirt and laying it in my duffel bag. I need some time away. From you. From this whole mess. Her hands flew to her mouth. Adrian, no. Please. It was stupid. I know it was stupid. I told them I didn't want to do the tests anymore. I zipped the bag and looked her straight in the eyes. Clara, this isn't about the tests. Not really. It's about the fact that after 3 years of marriage, you still don't trust your own judgment enough to know who I am. You let them convince you that I had to prove myself. Do you even realize how that feels? She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. I was scared. Nora kept saying. This isn't Nora's marriage, I interrupted, my voice steady. It's ours. Or at least, it's supposed to be. She reached for me, gripping my arm. Adrian, don't go. I'll cut them off. I'll delete the group chat. Just don't walk out. I gently pulled free. It's too late for promises. I need to clear my head before I say something I can't take back. The look on her face gutted me. Raw panic mixed with the realization that I wasn't bluffing. But I couldn't stay. Not after everything. I left the house without another word and checked into a small hotel on the other side of town. As I sat on the stiff bed, staring at the generic painting on the wall, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Adrian, it's Mia. Mia, the quiet one in Clara's friend group. The only one who'd never taken part in their little digs. I hope this isn't a bad time, she said, her voice soft. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I told them from the beginning that these tests were toxic. I tried to talk Clara out of it. I rubbed my temple. Why didn't you say something to me? I didn't want to interfere, she admitted. But Adrian, you need to know, they're not done. Nora's talking about an intervention. They think you're the problem. I let out a dark laugh. An intervention? For what? Not playing their games. I'm just warning you, Mia said. Be careful. They want control, and they don't care if they ruin your marriage in the process. Her words hit like a hammer. I knew right then this wasn't just a fight with Clara anymore. This was a battle for the very foundation of my marriage, and I wasn't sure it was one I could win. 2 nights later, my phone lit up with Clara's name. I almost didn't answer, but something in my gut told me to pick up. Her voice was shaky, tear-soaked from the first word. Adrian, it's bad. It's really bad. I leaned back on the stiff hotel chair. What happened? They had the intervention, she said, her voice cracking. I didn't even know it was happening until I got there. Nora invited Beth and Lindsay over and just started attacking me. Attacking us. I stayed silent, waiting. They said I was weak for letting you walk all over me. They said if I wanted a strong marriage, I had to stop giving in to you. And when I tried to tell them they were wrong, they turned on me. All of them. I could hear her breathing fast, the sound of someone trying not to completely fall apart. Did you defend me? I asked quietly. The pause was too long. I tried. But when Mia started yelling at them, everything got so loud. They were saying I should keep you if you pass their tests. Like you're some prize I'm allowed to accept or reject. Adrian, I didn't know what to say. My chest tightened. You didn't know what to say? Clara, you're my wife. That was the moment to say, this is my marriage, not yours. Did you even say that? Her silence answered for her. They're not wrong about one thing. I continued, my voice low and cold. You did let them walk all over you. And now you've dragged me into it. Adrian, please, she whispered. I see now how wrong it all was. Mia even told them to their faces that they're toxic, that they're destroying our marriage. And you know what I did? I just stood there. I froze. I couldn't even defend her. I clenched my jaw, trying to hold back the anger simmering inside me. So Mia, the one friend who saw through all this, stood up for me and for you. And you couldn't even stand with her? Clara let out a sob. I was scared. They make me feel like I have to earn their approval. Like I'm not enough if I don't follow them. Then maybe that's the real problem, I said, my voice breaking its calm. You care more about their approval than mine. More than your own husband's trust. There was a long, aching silence on the line. Are you saying this is over? She asked, her voice so small I barely recognized it. I'm saying, I replied slowly, that I don't know if there's anything left to save when you can't even stand up for us. For me. She cried softly on the other end. I hung up first, not because I didn't care, but because I was too disappointed to keep listening. The next evening, Clara showed up at the hotel. I heard the soft knock on my door and, for a moment, considered pretending I wasn't there. But when I opened it, she was standing in the hallway with red-rimmed eyes, holding a manila envelope like it was a lifeline. Adrian, she said quietly, please, just hear me out. I stepped aside, letting her in. She sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the envelope. I told them I'm done. I blocked Nora, Beth, Lindsay, all of them. I even sent Mia a thank you for telling the truth. I want to fix this. I crossed my arms, leaning against the dresser. Fixing this isn't about blocking a few phone numbers, Clara. It's about trust. Do you honestly think a couple of quick apologies will erase the fact that you let them treat me like a science project? She looked down at her lap. I know I messed up, but I'm cutting them out, Adrian. For real this time. I love you. I choose you. I stared at her, feeling something cold and immovable inside me. No, I said softly. You're not choosing me. You're choosing me now because you're scared of losing me. That's not love. That's damage control. Clara's eyes widened. That's not true. I've always loved you. I got caught up in their nonsense. I thought they wanted what was best for me. I shook my head. 3 years, Clara. 3 years of marriage. Wasn't that proof enough of the man I am? Of the husband I've been? You didn't need their approval. You just wanted it. She opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside were divorce papers, already signed on her part. I didn't want this, she whispered. But if this is what you need, I'll give it to you. I took the papers, scanned them, and quietly signed my name at the bottom. It wasn't anger driving my hand. It was clarity. The kind that only comes when you finally stop trying to fix something that's been broken for too long. Clara started to cry harder. We can still work through this. We can go to counseling, start fresh. I put the pen down and looked at her. You can't rebuild a house if the foundation's rotten. Respect and trust, that's the foundation. And we lost both the moment you let them turn our marriage into a group experiment. She wiped her face, her hands shaking. So this is it. This is me choosing my self-respect, I said, my voice steady. Something I should have done the moment I heard that first joke about the pottery retreat. Later that night, Mia texted me. I'm sorry it came to this. You deserve better. I stared at the message for a long time, then set the phone down. She was right. It's been 5 months since I signed those papers. 5 months of silence between Clara and me, broken only by the occasional email from her lawyer confirming the divorce details. I thought it would hurt more. Instead, it feels like I finally stepped out of a storm and found solid ground. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Clara patched things up with Nora, Beth, and Lindsay. No surprise there. They thrive on control, and Clara has always been afraid of standing alone. Apparently, they're already dissecting her marriage failure like it's another case study. I should be angry, but I'm not. One afternoon, while I was grabbing lunch downtown, I saw Clara across the street. She was with Nora, both of them sipping iced coffees, their heads bent together like conspirators. Clara looked thinner, a little older somehow. I almost crossed over, almost said something, but then I realized I didn't need to. I owed her nothing, not even a glance. A week later, Mia sent me one last message. I'm sorry it ended like this. You were always too good for their games. I hope you find someone who trusts you without needing to test you. I stared at the text for a long time, feeling a strange mix of gratitude and relief. The truth is, I don't hate Clara. I don't even resent her anymore. I just can't understand why she needed a panel of friends to validate her own feelings. That's not love. That's fear dressed up as advice. I've been spending more time on myself, running in the mornings, getting back into woodworking, even taking a trip to Colorado just because I felt like it. There's something liberating about making decisions without wondering how they'll be judged by someone else's committee. If I learned anything from this mess, it's that real love doesn't need to be tested, scored, or approved. It's either there or it isn't. And if someone needs a team of friends to confirm your worth, you're already losing. Sometimes I think about that first test, the pottery retreat. I realize now that my quiet support probably confused them, like I wasn't giving them enough drama to work with. Maybe that's why they kept pushing, hoping I'd crack. But all they did was push me away. Now, I look forward to the future with a calm certainty. I don't need validation from anyone. Not Clara, not her friends, not anyone who thinks love is some kind of competition. I know my value, and I'll never let anyone reduce me to a test again.